wide open is Corey Davis. He's got a first down and more. Bryce Huff comes around and gets the sack. He's at the 5, front left pylon. Croft with a couple of scores.
Training camp is come and gone, and it's time for the New York Jets to kick off the 2021 regular season with a Week 1 visit to the Carolina Panthers. And hello, everybody. Welcome to another season of The Numbers Game, presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WynnBET. I'm your host, Dan Graca. Pleased to be joined once again by my partner in crime from the NFL Network. It is Cynthia Frelund. Cynthia, time flies. I'm glad we're back together again doing this show. How are you?
I'm doing great. I appreciate this new look that you have, really extra refined this season.
I specialize in refinement, but we're going to have some fun as always here when it comes to the football, and a lot of new things regarding the New York Football Jets here as we get ready for the 2021 season. But before we look ahead, let's look back to what they did in the preseason. Just 3 games this year. They won 2, didn't lose any, and they tied 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles. But you have to start off with the performance of the new man under center. That would be rookie quarterback Zach Wilson, who was pretty flawless in the 2 games of action that we saw from him.
Absolutely. PFF gave him their second highest rookie quarterback grade, 85.7. Interesting thing when I kind of look to see ahead and use what I saw in preseason with what I know about him from college, I have some really nice forecasts for him in terms of numbers, passing yards, touchdown numbers. I mean, like rookie league leading numbers.
I think the Jets would certainly be happy if he was able to fulfill all of those lofty goals, and who knows, it could happen. But when you look at what he did in the month of August here, he was on the field piloting the offense for 6 drives, put points on the board, 4 of them, and no 3 and outs at all from that offense when Zach Wilson was under center. Granted, it wasn't against any first-teamers or starting defenses, Cynthia, but I had said throughout the month that he looked very, very comfortable for someone who has yet to play in a real NFL game.
You know, this is always going to be a strange season because we've never had kind of college season like we had last year. All these guys coming from various different situations, various different numbers of games played, when they were played, all of these different rookie metrics. So I think it's going to get nothing but better. And especially if it starts what we saw in the preseason, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
So that's a look back on what's happening for the Jets. When we return, we're going to look ahead to Sunday's matchup against the Carolina Panthers. This is the Numbers Game presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WynnBET.
Good to have you boys back.
You know how it is.
You never really left.
Slow down, though, will you? I gotta make my picks. You wanna get on this WynnBET with me?
I like where your head's at, but Boston's not covering.
WynnBET, huh?
Yep. Bet any game, anytime, and you bet with Wynn, so it's the best.
You don't need to cover? Look at the numbers.
Look at the offense.
With what, Frank? A microscope?
Go with Boston, Ben.
Don't worry, Frank, I already made my picks. I just wanted to see you 2 go at it.
You have an allegiance to Boston right now, but
That's called common sense.
common to who? Bostonians?
And welcome back to the Numbers Game presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WynnBET. Dan Graca alongside Cynthia Frelund. All right, let's look at the offense here for the Jets, and a lot of new looks as well. New system, new offensive coordinator with Mike LaFleur, bringing over a West Coast offense, that Shanahan system, if you will, Cynthia. A lot of possibilities this offense could be productive this year.
Well, one of the main possibilities is using play action because that's what Zach Wilson was so prolific at BYU. If you look to see what he did using play action and an outside zone look, well, he was, perfect in college, 158.3 passer rating, which is pretty good with 9 touchdowns and no interceptions. This is a nice fit. This is going to be an area where there's a huge uptick, and especially with the addition of Corey Davis specifically, who is super underrated. He had the 4th best yards run per route average last season at 2.7. The only guys ahead of him, all 3 Pro Bowlers.
The depth chart at wide receiver this year is probably as significant as we've seen for a good number of years with the Jets. Another of the big new acquisitions for that wide receiver room, Cynthia. How about Elijah Moore, the 2nd-round pick from Ole Miss, who has turned heads significantly here during the offseason?
Elijah Moore is a guy who, as the season goes on and on and on, like all the fantasy people are going to start talking about, especially once he gets a little bit more acclimated to what defenses look like. So I think this is an interesting one. His numbers at Ole Miss are ridiculous. And by the way, that's a really good receiver school. Some other guys came out of there, DK Metcalf, if you heard of him, A.J. Brown, also really good.
I think those guys are doing okay in the next level. I think, rumor has it that those guys have acclimated themselves quite well to the NFL. Let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball here because, yes, Robert Saleh is the head coach, but Robert Saleh's forte is on the defensive side of the ball, of course. And that defense is going to be entrusted with trying to slow down a Panthers offense, which is going to be led this year by a familiar face, Sam Darnold, who, of course, was the Jets quarterback for the last 3 seasons. In the 3 Week 1 openers that Sam was the Jet quarterback, Cynthia, he had 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 92.3. Sam generally likes the ball out when it comes to Week 1 of the season. Jets might have their hands full here.
I think that part of the reason the Jets have their handful is because that guy, Christian McCaffrey, that lines up next to him, who's, I don't know if he's a running back or like a Swiss Army knife or whatever you want to call him, but part of the reason why he's so dangerous is now every single snap you have to defend the run and the pass, no matter what. That will put Sam Darnold in a much better situation to succeed. And that means we'll probably see some, I actually think there's like a few packages like Sam to Robbie that we're probably going to see.
Robbie Anderson, another familiar face to Jet fans, had a very good first season in Carolina. Let's not forget DJ Moore, another one of his weapons on the outside, a very, very prolific wide receiver the Panthers have there. Now, when you look at this Jets secondary, yes, you have the veterans at safety with Marcus May, LaMarcus Joyner, who's a new acquisition, but he's been around the NFL. But the corner position, there's a lot of inexperience there. 6 of the 7 cornerbacks on this team, Cynthia, are either first or second-year players. It does present a great opportunity for those youngsters.
Great opportunity for them. And again, I told you the beginning of this season is going to be difficult for anyone who's drafted in 2020 or 2021. It's a weird mix of all the different things we've seen. So don't judge the first few games. Keep it going a little bit further out. They'll get better as they go along. When you have a good front, the back helps. They all reinforce each other. So don't necessarily take this Week 1 team. And by the way, this is a really good offense. You had 3 wide receivers that ended up in the top 25 in fantasy last season with Teddy Bridgewater. So this is a sneaky, better offense than maybe most people think about. So don't look at this one and think that it's going to be the rest of the season. Keep it going forward. Watch these young guys learn, and that's going to be all about the entire season long. They're going to get better and better and better.
All right, let's take a look at the schedule here before we sign off. First quarter of the season for the Jets, the next 3 games. The home opener next week against the New England Patriots. Then they head out to Denver to take on the Broncos before coming back home for a Week 4 showdown against the Tennessee Titans. And when you look at this Jets schedule as a whole for the upcoming season, there are not too many cupcakes if you want to base it on what we saw from these clubs a year ago, right?
If you looked at last season and use their win totals or their win percentage as this season, the Jets have the 12th hardest schedule. That's not fun. But, look, might as well. Welcome to the NFL. Get some experience early. Make everyone work together. And look, they can handle it. This is the NFL. They get a lot better, too.
Well, Cynthia, that's our first show. I'm glad that football is back. I'm pumped. Enjoy the game against Carolina. We'll do it again next week.
You got it.
All right, that's Cynthia Frelund. I'm Dan Graca. Thanks for joining us for our first episode of the season on The Numbers Game, presented by WynnBET. Betting is a team sport. Bet together at WynnBET. So long, everybody.